Please welcome Texas A&M University.
Just as the early sheds of sunlight are beginning to bring in the start of a new day, cattle producers are already heading out to check on their herd before leaving for a long day of work. In today's market, cattle producers face tight margins, making it difficult to remain profitable without seeking additional income off of the farm. With many cattle producers forced to exit the market, this leaves the remaining with a greater share of the cattle market, leading them to constantly seek out new methods to maximize time and achieve operational efficiency. This story begins with a man named Dr. John Rudder, who witnessed within his own herd the detrimental impact of the loss of a single head of cattle from the consumption of hay-baling materials. In search for a time-saving solution to reduce cattle loss, Dr. Rudder discovered that when mixed with a combination of cornzine and tree biomass, that seaweed can be converted into a component to create a rumen digestible hay wrap. With the procurement of beach-stranded seaweed that's been covering the Texas Gulf Coast in unprecedented amounts, this rumen digestible hay wrap will allow cattle producers to save time by no longer having to unwrap each hay bale while reducing cattle loss within their herd. To bring this revolutionary product to life, Dr. Rudder partnered with investor Edwin Kyle to establish Inshore Innovations. Inshore Innovations' rumen digestible hay wrap will provide cattle producers with the means to defend the rumen and protect the bale. And now Brian will take you through market trends.
In the United States, the majority of agriculture producers' primary income comes from an off-farm source. In Texas alone, over 96% of cattle ranchers supplement their ranching enterprise. Showcasing more than ever, these producers are spending less time on the ranch and are pressed to use available time in the most efficient manner. Consumer beef demand has increased in recent years, and the USDA has strong projections for per capita beef consumption, indicating a 3% increase in 2018. U.S. beef exports increased by 7% last year, a 22% increase from the 10-year average. With new international markets, the prospects for foreign demand of U.S. beef look promising. Annual herd loss equates to 3.9 million head nationwide, with 328,000 of these cases resulting from digestive issues. The majority of these digestive cases can be traced back to cattle consuming hay-baling materials. Annual hay production equals 131.5 million tons nationwide. Round bale hay continues to be the main source of cattle feed and the single largest contributor to total input cost for these cattle producers at 21%. Cattle are fed hay on average for 180 days in winter and drought months, consuming approximately 3 tons of hay per head annually. We at TexAgs Marketing conducted primary research on over 650 cattle producers. Of the 128 that fit the targeted demographics, 51% found time efficiency to be the most important aspect when deciding between hay baling materials. And now Tizzy will develop the customer profile.
Spread out amongst the top 5 hay and cattle producing states are cattle operations focused on providing high quality beef, simultaneously improving the efficiency of their operation. Operating on such tight margins, many of these producers turn to an off-farm income source to support their way of life. These producers are constantly networking with each other on ways to improve their operation, whether that's conversing at their local morning coffee shop, scrolling through social media, or listening to the radio as they bale hay. These middle-aged producers are quick to adapt to new technology and management practices. With a strategic focus on the future, these cattlemen are keen risk managers and decision makers. These producers are what we define as the cutting-edge cattlemen who take pride in upholding the traditions of the industry while being able to adapt to the ever-evolving market of new innovations. Now Jennifer will discuss market segment and size.
Cutting-edge cattlemen are made up of 2 segments, direct and indirect. Direct cattlemen are those who operate mid to large size operations and own the equipment needed to bale their own hay. Managing smaller operations and not owning baling equipment are the indirect cutting-edge cattlemen. These producers contract with custom balers to meet their needs. TexAg Marketing's primary market research indicated that 97% of cutting-edge cattlemen are willing to implement a rumen digestible hay wrap into their operation. Pair this with the USDA's predictions of strong, stable beef demand over the next 5 years, indicates long-term demand for a rumen digestible hay wrap. And now Stephanie will explain the need for product and overall benefit to producer.
Continuously searching for ways to maximize time efficiency and increase margins, cutting-edge cattlemen seek alternative routes to improve their operations. By preventing cattle loss due to the consumption of hay baling material, Inshore Innovations' rumen digestible hay wrap will provide an overall benefit to producer by eliminating the time needed to remove hay baling materials when feeding and reduce the costs associated with cattle loss. Now back to Jennifer for the competitive landscape.
Today's market consists of 4 different baling materials: sisal twine, plastic wrap, and net wrap. Each of these products serves a unique purpose in solving issues facing producers. However, they all fall short of one key benefit: time efficiency. Inshore Innovations has produced the first rumen digestible hay wrap on the market that will fill that void. First mover advantage and strategic location gives strength to Inshore Innovations, as well as being the first rumen digestible hay wrap on the market and creating a sustainable solution to the excess seaweed along the coast. Demand for safe and efficient products, online and in-store product availability, as well as nearness to distribution channels create great opportunities for Inshore Innovations. Weaknesses stem from high production costs associated with the product, as well as an unestablished distribution network. Threats facing Inshore Innovation include environmental variability impacting hay production, threat of new firms entering the market, as well as low awareness about new baling technology. And now Haley will walk you through the business proposition.
Inshore Innovations has established 7 key planning assumptions. To begin, Inshore Innovations is the first company to produce and patent a rumen digestible hay wrap. Approved by USDA for cattle consumption under current regulations, product compatible with multiple hay baler machines, steady supply of seaweed, cornzine, and tree biomass, contract with the Texas General Land Office to procure seaweed, product successfully tested through multiple university-backed research studies, and finally, Inshore Innovations owns production machinery. Inshore Innovations' goal is to transform the production livestock industry through its revolutionary product by increasing time efficiency and herd stability by providing an affordable alternative to traditional hay baling materials. In order to reach this goal, Inshore Innovations has established societal, marketing, and financial objectives. The societal objective: by the end of year 3, Inshore Innovations will utilize 475 tons of seaweed. The marketing objective for the first year: return on marketing investment will have an average of 4-to-1 ratio. For the second year, 20% of returning customers will participate in Inshore Innovations' referral program. For the third year, obtain 4% of the hay baling market share within targeted region. The financial objective: by the end of year 3, Inshore Innovations will have a profit margin of 21% or greater. And now, to introduce Edibind. Inshore Innovations' rumen digestible hay wrap will provide cutting-edge cattlemen with a tool to maximize time and reduce cattle loss, thereby increasing producer income and productivity. And now Tizzy will take you through the action plan.
Edibind establishes being the first rumen digestible hay wrap on the market designed to defend the rumen and protect the bale by adding 3 major components: seaweed, cornzine, and lignins from tree biomass. Seaweed provides excellent mechanical strength and water-resistant properties, all while maintaining biodegradability. Cornzine will be incorporated to increase tolerance for weathering and aid in the prevention of mold and bacteria growth. Finally, lignins converted from tree biomass will be added in order to withstand the tension from hay baling and improve the breathability of the wrap, which will improve hay quality. Eddie Bind will be positioned as the first rumen digestible hay wrap on the market, designed to reduce digestive-related cattle loss and improve producer time efficiency. For pricing, Eddie Bind will be available to cutting-edge cattlemen in 6 different mold sizes to provide them with a variety of options to accommodate most common hay baler machines and needs. Eddie Bind will be sold to wholesale agriculture input supply stores for a wholesale price range of $151 to $171, with a suggested retail price of $225.99 to $255.99, allowing these agriculture input supply stores a 50% profit margin. Located in the heart of the Texas hay production corridor, Schulenburg allows access to major shipping channels, which will allow Inshore Innovations easy expansion throughout Texas and neighboring top hay and cattle producing states. In year 1, Eddie Bind will be introduced to the Central and Northeast Texas hay corridor, reaching 65 agriculture input supply stores, including GBOs, Tractor Supply, cooperatives, and local agriculture suppliers. Expanding into year 2, Eddie Bind's market horizon will increase to 135 outlets, reaching into the Panhandle and West geographical regions of Texas and Oklahoma. By year 3, the total placement will be 215 agriculture suppliers, reaching from Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. Now to Reagan and Brian, who will discuss Inshore Innovations' promotional strategies.
The heart of the Inshore Innovations promotional strategy is the Bind Us Together campaign. Designed to generate demand, build a rapport, and educate cutting-edge cattlemen, this campaign will serve as the key to introducing Eddie Bind into the hay wrap market. The purpose of this campaign is to create an environment that fosters trust and transparency between cutting-edge cattlemen and Inshore Innovations. It will also create binding relationships that will be necessary for the success of this product through 5 main components: edu-marketing, traditional marketing, digital marketing, direct marketing, and public relations. To ensure the success of this fundamental campaign, Inshore Innovations will hire a marketing manager. This manager's job will be to ensure that Eddie Bind resonates with both current and potential customers, as well as utilize branding strategies that align with this company's goals. And now Brian will walk us through edu-marketing.
Edu-marketing serves as the educational forefront of the Bind Us Together campaign, designed to inform cutting-edge cattlemen of the revolutionary new technology of Eddie Bind through 3 main operations: expositions, affiliations, and research. Inshore Innovations will build lasting relationships with cutting-edge cattlemen through appearances at trade shows, livestock shows, and other key expositions. Visitors to Inshore Innovations' booth will be offered an online coupon code to encourage product trial. Inshore Innovations will visit 7 key expositions in the first year and an additional 5 expositions in both years 2 and years 3. Secondly, through strategic affiliations with major cattle groups, Inshore Innovations will work closely with the Texan Southwestern Cattle Raiser Association, the American Angus Association, and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association to work with members to learn about Eddie Bind and use within their operation through educational events and conferences. And lastly, successful research-based tests of Eddie Bind will allow Texas A&M AgriLife Extension agents the ability to inform local producers of the key benefits of using a rumen digestible hay wrap compared to more traditional methods through articles, reviews, and direct contact. Reagan, will you discuss traditional marketing?
Traditional marketing is comprised of 3 areas: print advertisement, radio advertisement, and in-store promotions. After a long day in the pastures or walking around at trade shows, our cutting-edge cattlemen love to listen to their ag radio stations on their way home. Because of this, Inshore Innovations will utilize advertisements on 3 main stations: Down on the Farm Radio of Texas, the Rural Radio Network of Nebraska, and Rural Radio on Sirius XM. Inshore Innovations will also utilize advertisements in key print magazines such as the Hay and Forage Grower, Beef Magazine, and the Progressive Farmer. These advertisements will have customer testimonials, product information, and a QR code for easy access to the Inshore Innovations website. And finally, Inshore Innovations will utilize in-store promotions such as signs and banners in agricultural input supply stores that already have Eddie Bind on their shelf. Brian, will you please take us through digital marketing?
Inshore Innovations digital marketing consists of 4 key aspects: the website, pay-per-click advertisement, search engine optimizations, and social media. Inshore Innovations website will serve as the main source of information for cutting-edge cattlemen. Visitors to the website will have access to the online store, key benefits, and retail store location. Online ordering available through the store will allow for easy and continued service for these time-pressed cutting-edge cattlemen. Inshore Innovations will be able to generate instant top-of-the-page search results through the usage of paid-per-click advertisement and search engine optimization to increase the discoverability of Eddiebein online. And lastly, through the creation of a YouTube channel and a Facebook page, Inshore Innovations will post videos of production processes, application, and benefits of Eddiebein online to increase the discoverability and buzz with cutting-edge cattlemen in their most utilized forms of social media. Now, Reagan, we discussed direct marketing.
To directly reach cutting-edge cattlemen, Inshore Innovations has created a two-pronged approach. Firstly, the Eddiebein brand ambassador will make in-person sales visits, manage the sales team, and have one-on-one communication with our cutting-edge cattlemen to see how Eddiebein can benefit their operation. And secondly, through the Inshore Innovations referral program, our cutting-edge cattlemen will be given an incentive to either refer a friend or give their own personal testimony about Eddiebein. When they do either of these, they will receive a discount code for 15% off of their next purchase. Now, Brian, will you please take us through our final component?
Seeing the recent natural disasters that plague the Texas cattle industry, Inshore Innovations wanted to do more to help support future disaster relief efforts. Creating the Bind Together Relief Fund, Inshore Innovations will donate 5% of annual profits to various relief funds to affect cattlemen affected by natural disasters in the marketed regions. Inshore Innovations as a company wanted to do more to help clean up the beaches of their home state. As a result, employees will participate in the Ocean Conservatory's International Coastal Cleanup Project as volunteers to pick up trash littering the coastline. And lastly, in the case of disruptive or unexpected events, Inshore Innovations has developed a crisis management contingency plan to address these unforeseen issues.
And that ties up all of the components necessary to generate a demand, build a rapport, and educate cutting-edge cattlemen about the key benefits of Eddiebein. And now, Stephanie will walk us through the financials.
With the introduction of Eddiebein, Inshore Innovations will see a profit movement from a negative 33% in year 1 to a positive 21% by year 3. By utilizing the excess seaweed along the Texas coast, Inshore Innovations is able to reduce input cost by obtaining seaweed at the low price of 35 cents per pound. Marketing expenses account for 58% of total expenditures in year 1, 55% in year 2, and 52% by year 3. Inshore Innovations will recognize 80% of their revenue by selling Eddiebein at wholesale value to agriculture input suppliers. The remaining 20% of sales will stem from online orders at retail price, recognizing a 353% gross return on marketing expenses. Now to Brian for the financial benefit to producer.
The financial benefit to the producer stems from two key savings aspects: time efficiency savings and the cattle loss reduction savings. The time efficiency savings equals $27 per roll, and the cattle loss reduction savings equals $65 per roll. A total financial benefit to these cutting-edge cattlemen of $92 per roll. And now Stephanie will take us through the measuring of return on marketing investment.
8 different tactics will be used to monitor and measure the return on marketing investment. Unique event coupons will be handed out at expositions with a tracking code to tag customers who purchase Eddiebein. Facebook Ad Manager analyzes the total interaction and customer outreach on the Eddiebein Facebook page. Google Analytics and AdWords will track website traffic and generate reports on the discoverability of Inshore Innovations' website. A dynamic QR code will be printed on each magazine ad for cutting-edge cattlemen to scan and learn more about Eddiebein. Radio advertisements will release a 10% off on-air referral code to be used on the website. 10% off manufacturers' coupons will be located on in-store displays for cutting-edge cattlemen to use at checkout. And finally, a discount code will be provided to affiliated organizations for their members' use. 3 different methods will be used to communicate this return on marketing investment to Inshore Innovation stakeholders. Internal communications will be through the use of monthly memos highlighting top-performing platforms. Investors will receive quarterly financial reports with a breakdown of each investment's return. And lastly, Inshore Innovations will interact with cutting-edge cattlemen through the use of social media and personalized emails containing monthly newsletters. Now to Haley to wrap it all up.
In today's market, the loss of a single head of cattle can have a detrimental impact on an operation's profitability. As the first rumen digestible hay wrap, Edibind will be the time-saving solution to reducing cattle loss that cutting-edge cattlemen have been waiting for. A means to defend the rumen and protect the bale. We thank you for your time and are happy to answer any questions that you may have.
As somebody who's dealt with a lot of hay in his life, how long does this wrap last? I may bale in 2018, but I may not feed until 2020. Tell me about the lifespan of your product.
Yes, sir. So the three major components of what Edibind is made of is able to withstand weathering and everything out in the middle of the field open for at least 5 years, which is just about as long as the hay still stays palatable to the cattle. And yes.
Can you talk some more about your target audience? What's the number of producers? What's the market penetration you need to reach? It's pretty vague in what we talked about today, so can you go into some more detail on that, please?
Do you mind flipping to the slides with them? So if you look at our target market, we broke it down into two parts. We call them the indirect and the direct target. And what that is, we looked at, in the United States, we have large size operations, a lot of producers that are producing. So the average size is a 40 head herd, and that was kind of our threshold for what we called the indirect. These are producers that focus mostly on custom hay balers to bale their own hay, and so indirectly, they're in charge of how their hay is going to be baled. And so these producers have some say in how their hay is baled, and so we believe that they will focus on time efficiency because a lot of these producers have off-time jobs. The second is the direct market. There's much less of them in the industry. These are the large size 100, 200, 300, 500 head herds. And these producers often have a large operation and that they're trying to take care of a lot of heads. So the idea is that that they have their own hay baling equipment and that they'd be the ones in charge of buying their own equipment.
So as a follow-up to that, are those U.S. numbers or are those in your Texas hay channel, Texas Oklahoma channel?
Yeah, so these are actually the USDA numbers for these producers based on their herd size in the marketed regions that we go to. So that's the numbers from year 1 through year 3.
Okay.
And kind of just following up on that, so that's the market size. In order to meet these revenue objectives, how much of that market do we have to have?
So in order to generate the revenue, it's also understood that most of these hay balers will most likely buy more than one roll. So to generate that revenue, Inshore Innovations is expecting approximately about a 60% turnover rate from the different expositions and marketing avenues it obtains.
The tag on that, though, our model of how many of those producers that are buying it is only about 8%.
So you, in one of your slides, you had you're going to make me $27 more efficient. How did you come up with that number?
Do you mind opening the... So we looked at two ways. The first part, the time efficiency savings, we looked at the annual average wage rate that the USDA puts out for ranch employees, and we looked at the amount of time that it takes to cut off on average one bale of net wrap. And so in winter and summer months, it varies based on ice, but 1 minute is what we allocated. The average amount of bales that one roll of Edibind can produce is 140. The different sizes vary. And so multiplying that 1 minute times the amount of bales gave us and then you multiply that by the average wage rate within that time, we got the $27. And then the breakdown for the cattle loss reduction stems from, would you like me to discuss that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I know you asked just on the 27, so I wanted to clarify. But so the breakdown of the cattle loss reduction, we looked at first the USDA statistics on what the average rate of approximation for cattle dying from digestive issues, which is 0.31% of the herd. And so then what we did is we looked at the amount of bales needed to be rolled. So that's 140 per one roll of Edibind. So to get one head of cattle to die, on average, it takes the amount of hay that's fed for, so 25 head can be fed 180 days, which is the average amount of head that are fed with 140 bales. I'm sorry if I'm talking fast.
That's right.
And so within 13 rolls of Eddie one head on average will die from consuming hay baling materials. So what we did is we looked at the $992 is the USDA amount for the approximation for one head loss in the United States. And so we took that number and then added the additional cost net wrap is, which is our leading competitor to our product. We multiplied that by the 13 bales, which gave us the the $849, divide that by the 13 rolls, and that's where we got the $65 on average is what you're saving. It's based on approximations on what you will not be losing in death loss.
Sure, okay.
So that is, sorry, so that's $92 per roll.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Collective. And on an average, how many rolls will your two different groups buy?
So on average, the indirect market, they're buying one roll per year, and the direct market, depending on the size, the average is 4 rolls per year.
Okay.
So on your marketing plan, on your print marketing buy, you made a decision to purchase 3 national pubs, yet your market is a regional market. Explain that.
So after the third year, of course, we'll go into further states. But we chose these 3 magazines because these are magazines that our cutting-edge cattlemen, they trust. They know these magazines. They know that whatever is advertised in them, it's a product that they can trust, and it's a product that their friends are going to use. And so we definitely chose these magazines for those reasons. Yes, sir.
You laid out a nice competitive analysis, but one of the things I wasn't clear on is who are we taking share from?
Yes, ma'am. So if you actually bring up the competitive analysis chart, these are the 4 main baling materials in these markets that are often produced by companies like John Deere and Vermeer. So we'd be taking market share from a little bit of those, but those are also mainly manufacturing companies of large equipment. So other smaller operations that just produce these certain types of baling materials, that's where our market share would come from.
Yeah, and I wasn't clear of those segments. What of those segments are you going to displace in order to hit your number?
So when we looked at our approximations, the producers that are most likely going to try a product like this are the ones that are using the most efficient material, which is the net wrap. And so we believe about half of what the market share that we'll take, the 2% of that will come from net wrap, and the other 2% comes from the balers that use plastic wrap. And so the 4% comes from those 2 sections.
I'm going to go back to your print schedule. That is going nationally, and I know you said you would expand past the 3 years. So you get a producer in Colorado that calls and says, man, I really like this Eddie bind. Do you have anything in place, or is your answer, sorry, wait till year 4?
Right, so we actually have a website and an online store, and so for those nationally who are not in our targeted regions that want to purchase it, they will definitely have the opportunity to do so through the online store.
And have you accounted for any online store sales in your financials?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, in the revenues, 20% of those revenues are from retail price through our online store.
Can you talk a little bit about how you're going to get it into the channel, into your Tractor Supplies and everything? Because a lot of your action plan is focused on the grower, the cattleman. So how are you going to get it into there, and how are you going to get shelf space and have them support you in store?
Inshore Innovations will be attending vendor trade shows to make those contacts with the retail stores and so that they can learn more about Edibind and how to get them on the shelves. And as well as the marketing manager, one of their priorities is to form those connections with the vendors.
Have you, is there any, this could sound like a strange question, but palatability of the, your wrap? Tell me about that.
Yes, sir. So that's one thing that we took into consideration when we first chose our proprietary blend. And seaweed is actually used quite often as a human digestible, edible wrap. And so therefore, we've discussed with many other professors about the idea of making this industrial. And so therefore, cattle will be able to digest it and enjoy eating Edibind.
And to add on to that, there are actually currently cattle feeds that are using seaweed, and so that we do know that it is palatable for cattle.
Along those same lines, are there any nutritional benefits from it? If you start looking at some of the superfoods, you'll see that a lot of pet foods have seaweed added or kelp. Is there anything additional that you can add from a sales proposition from that standpoint?
No, ma'am. Inshore Innovations has chosen not to advertise nutritional benefits. While each of these three components does have a nutritional benefit, the wrap is less than 1% of the entire bale, so it is not guaranteed that every single cow will get a bite of the wrap. So the nutritional benefits are negligible to advertise.
I'm going to talk further about the wrap and go down the what if a non-ruminant consumes the wrap? Is it safe, for example, for horses who have very delicate stomachs?
So seaweed can be digested by humans. We are monogastrics, as are horses. And so while it takes longer for us to digest than a ruminant system would because of the nitrogen cycle in a cattle's stomach, it can be digested. It can go all the way through. It'll just take a longer process. That's why it's not marketed towards monogastric animals.
So I have a couple questions back on the customer profile that we have. So we have the cutting edge cattlemen. So you guys have explained kind of the details behind that profile. But help me figure out how we know that these specific... It's one of those, is it too hard?
Yes.
That's why I like...
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Be careful.
Thank you.